let's start with why will your visa be rejected? Like you're trying to get through your visa, you want to go study in this country, and you have to go through your student visa processes. What will happen to make that get rejected? There are tons of things that we are going to look through, and for you to sort of understand what is going on in the mind of the embassy people, to sort of check to see if should they give you a visa or should they not give you a visa at all. Okay, so we have number one, the refusal reason. Number one, the genuine student test. So what is the officer looking for? Is this degree a logical step, or is it an excuse to enter their country? So here we are looking at countries like UK, we are looking at countries like Australia. So what is actually going on in here? You have the study gaps, for example, unexplained periods of 2 months in Australia, or professional gaps without upskilling. If you have gaps in your CV, try to think about what were you doing during that period and fill it up, because if you have those gaps and you submit with those gaps, they are going to be like probably you are not even a serious student at all. Now you have downgrading, applying for a diploma while holding a master's. This is actually pro tip, because you may not think about it. You may look through the program, so you're like, oh my god, I'll rather go for a diploma. Well, you have a master's. If you have a master's, why don't you just go for a PhD next? And why are you applying for a diploma rather, right? And then field jumping, for example, you studied engineering and then you want to go to culinary arts without a career narrative. Like, why? Why are you just all of this? And this is very, very important to pay attention to, because most people actually want to move abroad based off of the fields that are currently searched for. For example, I was covering a story today about Germany needs about 300,000 skilled workers in the field of health, education, tech. I don't know if health, education. Yeah. And they were talking about some studies that was being done in India for training some people to go work in Germany, right? So if you just all of a sudden want to switch to that field because you know that there are postgraduate opportunities, or it's a hot selling field that you want to switch to, it will be like, are you really going to study, or are you looking for a pathway to migrate and looking for a pathway for you to be able to get into the job market? So those are the type of things that they can just be like, we do not trust you. So you have Australia, they are doing the genuine student. It replaces the GTE. The dual intern is allowed, but study must be the primary one. So yeah, you can actually want to work, but study has to be the important one. UK academic progression rules apply. New course must be higher level than the previous one. For example, if you did a master's, we better need you to be wanting to do a PhD. If you did an undergraduate, you should be wanting to do a master's, because if not, why do you want to downgrade? That is going to be like red flag, red flag, red flag. So we don't want that to happen, right? Refusal reason number two. All right, you guys, I'm just going to take a minute here to tell you all about my database. My database has everything you need in order to succeed in your goals of studying abroad. If you want to really, really succeed, what you should do is get up every morning, sign up to this database, look through the scholarships, graduate assistantships, low tuition fee university, no application fee university, and then start your process of preparing to apply for whatever thing that you choose to apply for. If it is a scholarship, go through the process. Go through the CV samples and use it as a guide to write yours. Go through the SOP samples, use it as a guide to write yours. Go through the research proposal samples and use all of them as a guide to write yours. If you're able to lock in 1 hour or 2 hours every day, by the end of this year, you are going to get that study abroad that you want. You are going to get that scholarship that you want. So go ahead and sign up. The wallet, for example, the money is not money, the cash is not cashing, the proof of funding is not proof of fundings. Okay, so here you have proving financial sufficiency. This is according to the 2025-2026 data. UK tuition plus living cost, those are the specifics there. And then outside of London, those are the specifics there. Canada, tuition plus base funds, those are the specifics there. And then in the Schengen, those are the specifics there. So officers may require a history of funds for 28 days to 6 months to prove money is not borrowed just for applications. So they are looking through to make sure that number one, you have enough money to sort of survive when you move to that country, because what they do not want to do is they do not want to grant you access to the country and then immediately you go in, the first thing you're trying to do is you're trying to get a job. Because if you're trying to get a job, that tells them that, oh my goodness, you did not have enough money from the start. And if you did not have enough money from the start, then that is problematic, because now you are not, if you came in as a student, the chance that you're going to study is going to be very low because you just want to make some money, right? So that gives red flag, red flag, red flag. So the refusal reason number 3 is flight risk, ties to home. So here you have the employment, a job offer upon return, that is good, or a letter of study leave from your current employer. You have a job when you're done with studies, or you are you have a letter showing that, oh, he's just going to study, she's going to come back. Okay, family obligations, caretaking for parents or family owned assets or businesses, those are ties to home. Economic and community, you have business activity for 12 months prior or community leadership roles, that is ties to home. That is extremely important in order to prove. The Canada nuance, there's a dual intent is legal. You can intend to apply for PR later, but you must prove you will leave if the PR is denied. That is extremely important. And also this risk number 3 that they are talking about here, like ties to home, I think this is very, very important to show for US. We are actually going to talk about US specifically, but that idea of them really, really want to see your ties to home really, really applies a ton when you are applying to the US. So let's look at it here. So you have the USA, the interview is king, and you have the form I-20 is issued, and then you have it moves to the next phase, which is a DS-160 application, and then the interview. Consular officers have sole authority. Decisions are made in minutes based on verbal articulation. Documents are secondary. Warning, any fraud or misrepresentation represents permanent ban. That is true, but also the US is that one place that they are really, really checking for your ties to home. So I really like that idea of, let's say you have a current employer who writes a letter saying, okay, this person is going to study for some time, the person is going to come back, or you have a letter showing that, oh, you already have a job at home and you're coming back. And then also family ties, business ties, those are good to prove like you have like ties back to home. Okay, and the reason why I'm actually talking about this is I had a question on X recently with someone asking me, so how do you prove ties to home to really, really be sure? And then here we have the UK, they have the 70 points, so they have the 50 points for which is like the CAS, and then you have 10 points finances, 10 points English proficiency. All of that culminates to 70 points. So if you do not have that, rejected. You don't want to get rejected, right? So for 2025 updates, they have the transition to e-visas, digital permissions, yes, and then credibility interviews, increasing checks to confirm genuine student. You remember how we're talking about, is it logical? Like, are you downgrading or are you skipping fields? Because all of those things will make the visa officers think like, is this a genuine person? Is this not is this a genuine student, not a genuine person? Oh my goodness. Is this a genuine student? Or is this not a genuine student? And when they are able to see that things are logical, for example, I finished my bachelor's, I want to go do a master's. I did engineering at the bachelor, now I want to do engineering at the master's. That sort of tells a coherent story. But if you're jumping from master's, now I want to do a bachelor's, they'll be like, or you did engineering and now you want to do something related to nursing, they're like, right? So those stories do not add up. Now let's look at Canada. They have this new transparency as of July 2025. Officer decision notes are provided proactively with refusal letters. Oh my goodness. So they practically sort of refuse you on the spot. Purpose of study is not consistent with the career goals. Remember, we just spoke about that. Or they are going to reject you if they're not satisfied that you will leave Canada at the end of your stay. So the solution, you need a letter of explanation. Use additional client information to bridge the gap to explain dual intent. Just as I said before, you can actually have a dual intent. Okay, I want to study, and later I would like to stay in Canada, I would like to work in Canada. But at the same time, you need to be able to prove that in case that doesn't work out, you are actually comfortable with leaving the country. You will accept the results that you have been rejected and you're going to move back to your country, which is not a very, very easy thing to accept, you know, like you are actually being really, really honest. So yeah, but you have to show that for the sake of the interview, else the visa is going to be refused. All right, and we do not want that. Now let's go to Australia. Same thing, the genuine test, the genuine student test. So the idea is this is actually effective from March 2024 that they have to determine. So you can admit a desire to migrate later, but currently your primary intent must be to study. So the strategy is to answer the 150 word GS questions in the online form meticulously. Work limit 48 hours. Okay, every fortnight. Yeah, but the idea mostly here is same thing. You can, I think the common thread that you see in all of this is they are really trying to determine, number one, is there any logic in your story? Are there any inconsistencies in your story? And also, do you have enough cash? You can see the logic that they are just trying to determine. And it is in that few seconds or few minutes that you speak to the visa officer that they determine that. They look through your paperwork, ask you maybe a few questions. And if they see those inconsistencies, bam, you're out. And you don't want to do that. That's why you're watching this video. So preparing for the interview, so you should know your course content. Don't just know the title, know the models and their value in case the value to your career in case you're asked for it. English, speak naturally. If you claim that you can speak English well, speak English well. And then the why not home. Be ready to explain why local options are insufficient. Like, why don't you study in your country? Why do you need to study abroad? You need to answer those questions. And the consistency, that's what they're looking for. Your answers must match your application. Exactly. If there are any discrepancies, there is going to be a refusal. Okay, so make sure there is a consistency in your story, and actually also take a step back and look through your documents, your application objectively. Like, if I was the one sort of doing this process and giving people this opportunity, and I look at this person's like documents, will I think that this person is genuine? Will I think that this person has a consistent story? So those are the things that you have to make sure of. So now let us wrap it up. The final verdict, what you have to do if your answer is no. Sometimes you can appeal, probably you won't. Schengen, you cannot appeal. And then they have the fees are not refundable. So those are the things here. And then the documents, passport, admission documents, financial proof, health certificates, biometrics. Regardless, all of the things that are needed, you have to make sure that you have all of those documents, put them in a clear file, take them to the embassy, and good luck. I hope that this taught you a thing or two. Good luck. Let me know in the comment section who is going to go for a visa interview anytime soon. Anybody? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful. Please do also share this with a friend, a brother, a sister, an auntie, an uncle, anyone that you think that this is going to help. Do also like the video. Let me know in the comment section, what did you think? Subscribe here. I am going to see you all in the next one. Peace.